Hey guys, welcome back to the Outfitter Connection podcast. This week we have on two really good friends of mine that they just got back from Africa. Their trips kind of overlapped, and we figured this was a really good time to get them both on to both share their experiences over there and kind of debunk some of the myths, talk about their experiences and what to expect if you are looking for an African safari, and maybe what to look for when you're choosing a outfitter over in Africa because there's a lot of people and some are really really great and some not so much. So Felicia, Adam, how are you guys doing this afternoon?
Great.
I'm good.
Absolutely. And so we're going to kind of transition to Felicia's side of this because this is now you just got back from your third year in Africa. You won your first trip on a well, kind of explain how your first trip, how you ended up going to Africa, because it was never something that was on your radar.
No, Africa was something where I was victim to falling to uneducated, and I had no interest in going. There was basically like an online fundraiser that was raising money for an organization called Raise 'em Outdoors. It's for youth camps and skill building for our children, and you basically paid like $25 and you had to share it and everything like that. So that's what I did. And through Ruger Vortex Girls with Guns, I won my first trip over there. And it was for two people for 6 days of hunting. We were there for 7 days, but 6 days of hunting. And it was 4 animals. And I won it. And I was like, I don't know who I would take to go do this. And I wavered on donating it back and ended up finding out that it was like my dad's passion to go over there. So we went. And that's where the whole journey began. And going on our 4th year at and Adam, you've been at what, 4 trips now? You're going on 5?
Yeah.
So it's not a place that you go just once. It's a place that heals your soul and
It's
over and over.
Anywhere I've ever been to, it's something that has, for some reason, has made that gravitational pull to where, being in Wyoming, all I talked about was hunting and fishing. Now that I've been to Africa, all I look at and talk about is different other countries that I want to go now that I've been to Africa, where it's like once I kind of swallow this cup and get my fill, which there'll never be enough. But look at Australia. Look at the things that they have to offer there. Look at New Zealand. Some awesome red stags, the Himalayan tahr, chamois, awesome fallow deer. And then you start looking over Asia. Look at Pakistan. Look at Turkey. And to me, it once again, it comes down to that adventure. Like I want to experience some of these different animals where they're from. Like, would it be awesome to go to India and go shoot an axis or a nilgai in India, even though with their regulations I can't bring them back, but it would still be super cool. Like, what an adventure would that be to go say that you whacked an axis or a nilgai in India where they're located in, and who knows, maybe you got a chance to go see some tigers.
Yep.
Like, wouldn't that be awesome?
So Felicia, you took your dad over there. You guys hunted several animals, and there was one animal that's always been, since you decided to make this trip over to Africa, there was one animal that you really wanted, that you've like fallen head over heels in love with, and that's the kudu. But even on 33,000 acres, as big as that piece of property is, it still took you all the way up almost till the last minute before you had to get back on your plane, make the 3 or 4 hour drive back to Johannesburg to harvest that animal.
Yeah. And, as we talked about earlier, experience is everything. People have gone over there and been able to get on them right away. That wasn't the experience I had. And the gray ghost kudu is and will always be one of my top animals. Like, I would shoot a kudu every time. They're a wonderful hunt. They're a majestic animal. They have such a fantastic story. And we hunted a kudu 6 days straight, everything we shot, the sables, the impalas, the Nyala, zebra, all of that was shot in the process of pursuing a kudu. And I shot him like within, I think Michael told me we were turning around to get ready to head back to the lodge to go to the airport in like 20, 30 minutes. And
Oh, I
literally
didn't know it was that. It came down to like last day, last minute.
it was the last day, last morning, and we were on the back of the property, you know, the mountain
Yeah.
all the way back. So we were all the way back there, and up on the mountainside to my right, there was 2 big kudu, and they were in such dense cover that I couldn't get the scope on them. Like they blend so well that I could see them with my naked eye, but getting them in the scope was like impossible.
Right.
And literally I never got a shot on them. We went up, we went around the other side of the mountain. And as we were coming around the other side, these 2 monster bulls just run out in front of us. And Michael told me, shoot the one in the back. I pulled up, no sticks or anything. And I sunk a 338 into him. And like without hesitation, we were leaving without him in my eyes at that point. So I
Right.
wasn't let it slip through that opportunity. And he was just a monster kudu. He was, I think he was 50, like not in length. I think it was 54 inches. And then, but he had, I was actually just talking to Michael about this. He had almost 6-inch curls.
Mm-hmm.
So his, for people that don't know what a kudu is or the standard of a kudu, that like 2 to 2.5 inch curl is pretty standard. Occasionally they'll hit like the 4 inches, but he told me that mine was actually closer to 6.5 inch set.
Yeah.
And so he was really wide. He didn't have that real tight spiral. He was almost like a big horseshoe. But beautiful bull, super old, like Adam was saying with his lion and his giraffe, like the kudu bull was, I think he was pushing over 10 years old. He had holes in him from fighting. His skin was practically leather. He didn't have the white stripes on him anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just good management, really good management. And the way that their horns tilt, they like with the curve, they turn. So his
Right.
horns were still back. They wouldn't typically consider him a shooter, but because of how old he was, he's beautiful. Adam's showing us his kudu, but they're a beautiful, majestic animal. Mine was just,
Yeah, I mean, when you see these guys like in person, you cannot like it's just unreal. Like there's something unique about them and something special to, it's like the number 1 animal taken in Africa. They're just a fun animal to hunt because, like Felicia said, while you're hunting kudu, yeah, you will probably shoot all your other animals and your kudu will be your last one. Sometimes you'll get it right off the bat. It'll just be the luck of the draw. You'll come out, it might even be in an open field, and there he'll be. You never, that's why they call them the gray ghosts, because they're hard to find when you're looking for them, but when you're not looking for them, you seem to find them everywhere.
Yeah, like this last trip, Felicia was over there. She was sending me pictures of, it was almost every day you were seeing kudu. It seemed like,
Well, and see, that's the perfect time of year, because the end of May, first part of June is their rut.
Right.
Which is why we went, because I was wavering the entire trip of shooting a kudu. Shooting a kudu in the rut would be like a dream. I shot mine later in the year. It was closer to the end of August, early September when I shot mine. But like shooting a kudu in the rut, they have all that testosterone. They're all beefed up. They're just,
their necks are huge.
And but honestly, even aside from the kudu, the gemsbuck is one of the animals that eluded me for almost 3 years.
Yep.
And I mean, every experience is different. You'll get over there. We took a group last year, and one of the girls that day decided she wanted a gemsbuck, and her gemsbuck stood broadside for 20 minutes. Like he gave it up. And the part for me that bothers me with that is because everybody's experience is going to be different. You have somebody that might have to think 3 shots into an animal to get it on the ground where somebody else shot it once. And it's
Yep.
not necessarily about placement. Sometimes it's that animals in Africa have such a will to live that you can shoot them right in the heart and they're still going to stand. So it's all experience.
And perfect example, my giraffe. I shot exactly where I needed to shoot it, didn't go down. He turned and faced me. I sunk 2 into his chest. Nothing happened. He turned to the side, shot him right behind the shoulder again. Nothing happened. Finally, I actually ended up shooting him when he was running away from us at the base of the head. And so these animals, whether you shoot a zebra 5 times or you shoot it 1 time, these animals have a will to live, and they're going to do whatever it takes to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, every animal is going to be different. Every experience is going to be different. When people ask, like with our groups, I'm constantly asked, like, what's my chances? And I was like, go over there without an expectation, because they're going to exceed your expectations over there. And you need to just like, Austin, we talk about this in the mountains. You have to take what the mountains provide. You have to take what Africa provides, because you don't have a say.
Right.
Michael told me this our very first trip over there. I don't know if you want me to swear or not, but he told me that you have these animals who have such a will to live and that are so smart that you're basically looking for your 15 minutes of fuck up.
Yep.
And that's what you are all day long. That's what you are praying for, is to find that animal that just has that 15 minutes of chasing that female, or doing something stupid to catch him. I mean, that's how I got my blue wildebeest last year. He was in his own world for a good 10 minutes, and they asked me if I wanted to shoot him, and I was like, yeah, where's the gun? Like, let's go. And we stalked in on him, but he had no idea we were there. Beautiful, like old bull, and wasn't on my list, but he came out because he provided the opportunity.
It's like we've been in camp before you even got there. We've been in camp for probably 4 days, just booze cruising the heck out of Rhino Land. I don't think we ever left the bar for 4 days. And so finally I told the guys, I was like, dude, I gotta give my liver a break. Like I was like, I love this, but dude, we gotta go hunt. We gotta go do something. He's like, well, what do you want to hunt? I'm like, well, let's go look at the black impalas. Dude, we spent all morning driving around, looking, hunting, getting out, walking, like doing everything we can. Shot at a couple baboons at like 400 yards. Shot at a jackal at like 350. We went over there. There was no blood or anything, but on the baboons, I know I didn't hit, but the jackal was darn close. But still nothing. So lunchtime we went back. They had to do a few things around camp and things like that. And so we had some lunch and took a siesta. Dude, we left camp at 2:45. We roll into the back section at like 3:01, and I had shot that black impala at 3:05.
Shift.
Like exactly like what Felicia said. Like, we've been looking for this one old black impala ram that they had, that Michael had tried to shoot a half a dozen times with 4 or 5 other clients. And first morning we get up there, nothing. Didn't even see them. Then we go back for lunch, come back out. Like you said, it was 5 minutes. We went down the dirt road. I would say 200 yards from the main gate.
Oh. And
he was right there on the left-hand side of the road, just chilling, walking through all the trees. And it was like, no, I was like, oh, there's one. And Marcel was like, whoa, I gotta look. And finally, he probably walked another 25 yards, and Marcel gave me the go ahead and stood up on the sticks and whacked him.
Yeah.
And dude, it just happened so fast, because it was like, we spent all morning looking for that stuff. And that's like Felicia said, you can drive around all day long and get on them and things like that, but never get a shot off. But you're just looking for that 5 to 15 minute of them not doing what they're supposed to. And it's just like it's like hunting anywhere else. Hunting comes in, like, there's a lot of skill into it and kind of knowing what the animal's going to do, but you still really don't know what the animal's going to do.
Yeah. I experience that every time in the mountains. It's like
they still,
I know.
You might know what they're going to do and what their habitat is and how they're going to kind of react, but it's still a guessing game.
Yep. It's just like with me and the aoudad, you know, I can tell 9 times out of 10, I can tell a client, all right, that ram's going to turn right or left. He's going to step 5 feet. He's going to stop. Whenever he stops, pull the trigger. And there'll be that one ram, that one time that he doesn't do it. And I look like an absolute fool out there.
Yeah. Well, he just keeps walking straight, or he just jumps up over the ridge or whatever. And I mean, perfect example too. I went up and hunted some turkeys with Felicia in May in the first part. And, you know, and she was like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to set the blind up. They're going to come down right through here. I'm not a big turkey hunter. So I'm like, okay, like you tell me what it's going to do. Dude, I'd be a monkey's uncle, man. 6 o'clock, that thing came chirping out, and sure enough, did exactly what she said. But the 2 hens on the opposite side were staying right on the outskirts of the inning. The only reason why that big Tom came in is because he saw our decoy.
Yep. And that's one thing like I'll always say about Felicia is, like, turkeys, like 90% of the stuff that she's hunted, she's got it figured out.
Oh yeah. Like I was quite impressed. But it just goes to the show that if you come to enjoy something and that's something that you want to do, like for instance, if I was gonna go hunt aoudad, to be honest, I would be talking to you, because I know that's kind of like that's your specialty. That's what you like hunting. If I go shoot another turkey, it's gonna probably be with Felicia, because it's like we had good success this go around. You know, she had a few other clients after me, super successful, and so I mean, and she may not agree to it, but I was pretty impressed about her knowing the property, knowing, hey, I've been watching these 2 birds for 2 weeks now. This is what it's gonna do.
Yep. And that kind of ties back in with, you know, with Rhino Land. They are very good at what they do.
Oh,
and
man.
Felicia, you know, you and Adam both, you guys have both been over there so many times, and you both kind of like, you guys go through them, but you guys kind of know like the game plan of what's going to happen before it ever really happens.
So the game plan, you know what to look for. That's the thing about, well, one of the things, like how you were saying earlier, that I feel that a lot of other outfitters across the nation could learn from a place like Rhino Land and South African outfitters is, first of all, there's steps to being a PH. It's not just anybody can be a guide. There's a whole process. There's a 10-day school they have to do. Like, there is a process. They have to renew it, like up and up. These people know their shit. They're talking velocities. They're talking ballistics. Like, you're looking at management. Like, they can look at an animal that you or I would have been like, that's a shooter. And they're gonna be like, nope, next year, 2 years from now. You know, like, it is insane how well they manage their animals. And if it's still in breeding prime, it's not a shooter. Like, they are looking for beyond breeding prime. They are looking for certain characteristics. They call it leopard bait. Like, you'll hear that a lot. If you see an impala that doesn't have deep seats, my first year there, the shooting the kudu on the last day was not for a lack of seeing kudu. We were seeing kudu every single day, 20 sometimes at a time. Like, we'd get on a group of kudu and we had a bachelor group of 5. And then like we went up the road a little bit and we had another bachelor group of 4. So it wasn't for a lack of seeing them. They weren't shooters yet. Like one of them literally, Michael told me next year he's a shooter. And my dad, like the devastation in him was like, now we're here now. And he's like, nope, he's a shooter next. I'd rather you leave without it and come back and get your trophy than leave here with a mediocre, and you pay all that money for a mediocre food.
Well, and then too, you don't want something. I mean, yeah, you're going over there in a sense of like, yes, doing some trophy hunting, but someone that has been over to Africa several times and walks into your house and sees a dink of a kudu, they're gonna say, who let you shoot that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's the same thing. Like, I mean, I don't understand like the size or anything like that with like Audette or anything, but I know like 30 inches is like 28 to 30 is like your go-to. How you tell the difference on that size at that far of range, I don't know. But like to me, I see a few of them here and there, you know, around the area that I work, and I'm like, oh man, I'd blast that thing because I just don't know sizes. I'm like, I saw to me, I saw a decent one, and I was like, oh dude, I told my buddy, I was like, dude, if it was season right now and I had my tag, this guy would be smoked.
Yeah.
I
It
couldn't tell
just
you how it was, but that's
it
the
just
thing about
comes
these
down to
guys.
seeing hundreds of them. Like
Yeah,
I've glassed up thousands of Audette.
well, and that's the thing. It's you understand the size of that and probably other animals or a good sense of it. These guys in South Africa, looking at kudu, looking at impala, like Marcel looked at me and the one black impala that I shot. He's like, dude, he's a beast on that left side. The right side, I mean, he's still good, but man, that left side, he's 23, 24 all day long. And so for a black impala, that's massive.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, dude, I don't know everything that I've seen today, I would have shot. Like just knowing myself, because I'm the type of hunter too, where I won't waste my tag.
Right.
Like if I'm given the opportunity to go hunt, because I don't have that opportunity a lot, because here in New Mexico we have to draw for our tags. And that's the only reason why, like in North America, I think our populations for all of our species are kind of garbage, because you're only given a week to hunt, so you shoot the first thing you see.
Right.
You know, it's not like you hold out and you can still use that whole tag for the rest of the year.
Right. And I kind of use the analogy of like, you wouldn't hire the fire department to come do pest control, right?
Depends on the pet.
What's that?
Depends on the pest.
Yeah. But I mean, you want to hire a guide or an outfitter that specifies in certain game.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Like Adam, Felicia, you guys wouldn't hire me to go on an elk hunt. I don't know the first two things about elk. I know what a good bull looks like, but I can't call one to save my life. Felicia, you've seen that firsthand hanging out in your dining room.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
Almost as bad as your duck.
almost. I'm just a waterfowl shooter. I'm not a waterfowl hunter.
That's what
Yeah, I'm not even a waterfowl shooter. You know, and that's the other thing too, is like, you know, every and it you can tell like every region of area, depending on, you know, you're in the western part of the states. I'm not gonna say everyone, but a lot of the guys that I hunt with from back home, they're pretty good at calling elk. I'm not the best. I'm okay, but then you get into the Midwest. A lot of Midwest hunters are good at doing the grunt calls for whitetail and turkey hunting, making calls and along with ducks. Midwest is a big that congruent turkey waterfowl hunting. You get to the East Coast, or yeah, you get over by the East Coast and things like that. You know, still same thing, deer, turkeys, but then a lot of it is tree standing. Oh, I'm just gonna go sit in my tree stand and see whatever walks underneath me. So it's almost like you look at each region of the United States. Each region of the United States has its own little like special. I'm gonna call them specialties of hunters.
Yeah. Oh. And then Felicia, with your Africa experiences, like it's not just you going over there and hunting, right? Like it wouldn't. I'm almost surprised that you haven't gone over there on your own to go hunt. But when you go, you take your Women of the Wild group, which is a group that you founded, and raised up as your own baby. Like you guys do a lot of stateside stuff, but this going to Africa with your Women of the Wild group, that's within the last 2 years type of thing. And so explain like kind of how that got started with your first hunt, and then now you've been over there 2 years with taking people from your group. And it's not just women, you guys kind of do a co-ed thing for Africa because it draws a different kind of crowd.
I mean, yeah, 3 times of being over there. First time was my dad and I. The last 2 times have been groups. I have stayed over, like this year we did a 9-day hunt for the group, and then I stayed for the 2 weeks. And it was because I wanted that. I wanted that a little bit of time there to myself. I didn't want to spend my birthday on a 16-hour flight. So that's kind of how I do it. I just piggyback my time there to have my time to hunt. But my love for Africa, that first trip over there, I knew in the second day, like I went over there with the expectation, like I want my kudu, I want my gemsbuck, don't really care about everything else that I won, that if I'm gonna only do this once in my life, those are the 2 animals that I like had to have.
Yeah.
I knew on day 2 of our 6-day hunt that I was coming back. I immersed myself in the culture. I was learning. I was on the ground with the tracker. I was in the sand with them, learning what tracks were what. And I think it was day 5. Marius had pulled me aside and he was like, "We want to work with you a lot. The way that you adapted our culture, the way that you are like looking at these animals." And it became a conversation of, how do I share this love and how do I share this experience with other people? Because I truly believe that all hunters, regardless if you think you're a trophy hunter or not, you need to come experience Africa, because you can do you can do the varmints, you can do the predators, you can make it whatever you want. But it's a place that I think every hunter should experience it, or non-hunter. I just think every person should experience South Africa, because it is a very humbling experience.
Especially the drive into camp.
Yeah, so, well, to me, hunting is not a necessity, right?
Right.
Hunting in South Africa 100% is a necessity. You are feeding people, you are feeding schools, you're feeding nursing homes, you're feeding villages. Like, these are people who wouldn't have the food if it weren't for the hunters, and you're building an economy for them. So while it's not a necessity for us to hunt there, it's a necessity for them that we hunt there. And it's funny because I, at one point in time, didn't realize the impact that hunters have in South Africa until I experienced it. And not only experienced it, but was willing to learn and get educated on, what happens with that harvest after we take it. What happens with, I mean, they use intestines, they use all the bones, every piece of that meat down to stomach matter is utilized. Like, they don't have a grocery store around the corner. Some of these people have to walk a mile just to get water. Some of these people will never see a shower or a toilet a day in their life, and you're aiding to their ability to have a better life. So it's like one of those moments where not all superheroes wear capes, and people who are anti-hunters are going to think that's absolutely disgusting. But the reality of it is these people in these villages who have absolutely nothing, sweetest, nicest, thankful people that you will ever meet in your life, you are making such a big impact. So it was a no-brainer to me of, how do we aid and help this? And yes, you're going over there, you're having fun, hunting is fun, absolutely, you wouldn't do it if it wasn't. But you're also aiding another country in feeding kids and women and beating the starvation. And it's just a really gratifying experience. Like, when you get to see where that meat goes, and you get to see, maybe products like, last year we brought gifts over for everyone in the compound, like basically the camp. We brought them to take home to the village. The gratification that you get from how excited they are that they now have something, whether it be a t-shirt, a pair of shoes, a knife, like, they don't have access to the like we do.
They're grateful by all. I remember I had an extra rain jacket when I was back there last time, and it was nothing but a downpour every single day. And every day Josh would have to go back into camp and change and come back out. And finally, like second day in, I just walked into my room and I grabbed my other rain jacket and gave it to him, just so he would have it. And the appreciation you could see on his face was just like, kind of like a relief, like, oh, finally. Because at one point he took a trash bag with him and he cut holes in it so he could just put it on, and then when it stopped raining, he would take it off. And we talked a bunch about this, and that's the thing that I think people need to understand is it, like you said, whether you're trophy hunting or not, like I would love to take my family over there and experience it. But yeah, that's the thing is like it's wild to me. Like my dad I told my dad even when Michael Marcel came up to visit last year during the expo, my dad's like I just couldn't go over there and shoot anything or watch something get shot. And it's like, man, like how I would still love to take my family over and just they could go all over Rhino Land and then go spend a day at Kruger. Like,
Yeah.
I think you would just, or even go to like the neighbor's property and see like some of like the agricultural.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the plan for 26 is to take hopefully my kids and my dad back over there. I would love if my mom would go too, but it's hard because so I'm the mom here where I'm like, somebody, we all heard it as a kid. Like there's kids around this world that are starving that would love to have that meal that you
Right.
should eat it in Clean Plate
Right.
Club. But like it comes from a different perspective when you've actually experienced that culture, that's a reality.
Right.
And I think that especially for our younger generations, it would be really important for them to see that, because I think a lot of times we take things for granted. We take the fact that we have a bathroom in our house or, you take a faucet and turn the water on. We take that for granted. And those are all they're modern amenities to us here that we expect it. But the reality of it is not everybody gets that. And you should
Gets
be
that 100%.
So that's like my big drive for taking the kids. And I would absolutely love to take them, to the elephants to go see them and to take them over or take them into the national park to see the painted dogs and just
well, it's not only that, but it's eye-opening once you start getting out of Johannesburg and Pretoria, and and that's why I said like driving to camp, like you start driving through the little townships, like you're not in the city anymore. 99% of these people are on dirt floors and a shanty.
Yeah.
Well, is their home.
Yeah, like it's hard because you don't get to really experience that until the way out. Because usually when you're coming in, it's dark.
Right.
But then you're leaving and that's when you get to experience it.
But no, it definitely is a unique experience. It's super cool to, and that's honestly, that's from the friendship that me and Felicia have made. That's how we've made it through knowing hunting at Rhino Land. That's how it all came through, because I saw that she hunted over there, so I commented on one of her posts over at Rhino Land.
Yeah, that first trip, that's how Adam and I became friends, was through Rhino Land. And we were talking about just like with Women of the Wild, bringing the groups over there. It was something where like I had such a passion for it, I decided to share it with other people.
Right.
And last year we took, I think it was 17 animals. And this year I think we did 14. And we already have 25 and 26 in the books. But it's one of those things too that I think a lot of people want to experience it, but it's an investment. It's not.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Going out, like it is an investment. The flights are the most expensive part in reality of it all. And it's a lot to prepare for mentally, physically, your gear, all of it. So it's kind of something that you plant the seed, and as people are ready to go, you take them. And the whole point of doing it as a co-ed instead of just a women's trip, since yes, we're Women of the Wild, but like the mission is not just getting women in the outdoors, it's getting anyone in the outdoors, but also building that family entity. The one thing we heard the most is like, I would love to go, but my husband, it's his bucket list and he would kill me if I went without him. So I was like, you know what, why are we in a situation where we're not allowing it to be? And a co-ed. Like last year we didn't run into that. We had a girl with us, we had a gentleman with us, didn't even know each other before they got to the trip. This year the best part to me was we had Cass and her 16-year-old son there, and that experience, being a young man, get to experience that, be able to absorb what that third world country is over there, and the question,
Right.
the intriguing it is that it's so different than what they're used to, even just hunting styles. Like Cass and I, we talked about it. She's, sit in a blind, you wait all day. Like Adam, you were saying, we hear more of like I don't want to call us the East Coast, but we're like mid-East. It's blinds and tree stands.
Yep.
So that's what she was used to. And she wasn't used to this like fast split decision. Like in Africa, a lot of the times it's very fast. It's making
you have a minimum, I would say a minimum of probably maybe 10 seconds at most.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like, growing up elk hunting and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10, when you come across a ridge, as soon as you see elk, you're looking for a bull and you're looking to make a shot. Like you're not, oh, I got my time, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna make this big long shot or whatever, unless you're 2 ridges away and then they don't smell you or see you.
Right.
But like you say, over in Africa, it's a split decision. You got 3 to 5 seconds to pull a trigger.
Yeah. And it's just an experience that I think that it's very hard to come by. Like, yeah, you can go to Texas and you can get a similar
experience,
but you're not getting the culture. You're not immersing yourself fully in what that experience is. Because I'll tell you right now, one of my absolute favorite things about Africa is grabbing my coffee before anyone in the camp wakes up and having that coffee on my front porch and listen to those lions just baying away and watching that rise, and you hear the animals, and it's especially like time of the year, right? Like we were there the end of May, early June, and it's the rut for most of their antelope, but specifically the impala, and
you can hear them
groan in this grunt that is just so cool, and listening to them
it almost sounds like it. Once you see the animal, you wouldn't expect that grunt or anything to come from that type of animal.
It's very like demonic sounding.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Realistically, it almost sounds like a big, long, drawn out whitetail grunt.
I'm not even kidding. I thought it was baboons the first time I heard it. You know how baboons will do that
oh
grunt?
Yeah.
The first time I heard it, I was like, what the hell was that? And Michael was, that's impala, little lady. And I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then like, I shot that broke-horn when we were talking about management. That was one of the things that I took this year, was a broke-horn impala. That's a death sentence for any animal over there once they get a broke-horn, because they become a detriment to the population that they become a hazard. They have to be removed right then and there. We got a call for a broke-horn impala, and they were like, somebody
get ready.
needs this now. And Michael was like, got the perfect person for it. Don't touch it. She'll be there in a minute. And it was just, a lot of people don't understand a lot of that. So it's just educating yourself. If it's something like Africa is ever something that's on your radar, educate yourself, because you're going to fall in love with it before you even get there.
100%. It's like with the neighbors having those lines over there. I'll never forget my very first trip. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear them start baying, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I put my head out the door, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I waited till about 5, and I was getting my coffee, and I was like sneaking around the camp, like looking around, and the hostess, her name was Michelle at the time. She was the first trip there, and she's like, "What? Are you okay?" I'm like, well, "What's that sound?" She goes, "Oh, those are the lions across the road." I'm like, are they caged? Like what? They're like, "Oh, they're not caged, but they're in a big, electric fence. Like they're not getting out, but they're." And then she goes, "What's funny is they're like 3 or 4 miles away from camp. Like they're not just like on the opposite side of the road." And I was like, and that's when it was like, holy crap, like this is cool. And so every morning I'd wake up at 5, go get my coffee, sit on the edge of the lodge, watch the sun come up over the little circle of life pond, seeing all the silhouettes of all the animals still there, and listen to them lions bay.
Yeah, and like then it's different neighbors now than the first year that we went, but it's a mile and a half from the rooms that you sleep in. It's a mile and a half from the back of that to where those, like the edge of the fence where the lions are.
Yes.
If it just goes to show how vast that sound will travel, like how vast that area sound traveled with these lions, it literally, if you have your back window open to your bathroom,
Yeah, you can hear him.
sounds like they're right behind you. Like it sounds like you're about to walk out your door to a lion. It is so loud.
Yeah.
And one of the nights I was laying in the bathtub and I had my window open, and you know, you hear the impalas grunting. I could hear the baboons in the trees and them, you know, bickering with each other. And then all of a sudden the lions, like 7 of them, just start sounding off. And I just laid there with my brandy in the bathtub and just enjoyed every second of it, because it is an experience that you don't get anywhere else.
Mm-mm. Nope. Not a chance. And it's unique. It's all unique in itself.
But it's cool to hear how each how the land is managed differently at all these different ranches. The animals, like I know the lechwe and the black wildebeest are high on my list, and like you were saying earlier, for concessions, for people that don't know what that is, that's another farm, and they work with each other a lot of times. If they don't have an animal on their farm, they'll work with another concession, which is just another farm, for them to be able to put a client on an animal that they want that's there. So like your springbuck aren't at Rhino Land, they'll take you for those. They have them, they have a breeding program, but they don't let them out because they don't flourish. The leopards are a pretty big detriment right now. This year, before we went, Adam, it had to have been like the week before you were there, they had a group of painted dogs, a pack of painted dogs, come in to the ranch, and they'll decimate a lot of plains game because they travel in big packs.
They just run them down.
It's a lot of that stuff that depending, it's situational based on your predators, but leopards, like your blessed buck, they have them. They just typically don't do super well. Populations don't really flourish real good because they're kind of a dumb animal, and the leopards love them. Same with the springbuck. So, I mean, it's just kind of neat. In the encounters you get, like this year, I literally had an up close and personal encounter with a honey badger.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell are you going to experience something like that? You want to talk about being on your toes. You go toe to toe with a honey badger, and you start contemplating all your life decisions real quick.
Well, it's like my second trip over there. We were driving around, and in the middle of the day, a young leopard crossed the road in front of us. Like just young leopard, sneaky, docile, looked down the road, looked down, almost like he looked both ways before he crossed the road, and then off into the tall grass he went, and we never saw him again. You know, same trip, when we were hunting my eland, we were up on the high part of the backside of the ridge. It was rainy, muddy, swampy, and I start looking down, and there's leopard tracks behind us, not in front of us, behind us from where we were walking. Like it would come out, walk behind us, and then go back in the trees and everything, and then come back and walk behind us, and then go back into the trees. He kept doing that.
Getting stalked by a leopard.
Yeah. And it's like holy crap, like you would never think, you know, what, and that's the thing, over there around every corner you can see something new. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 2 times that I've been over there, this was the first trip that I've been over there, and I wasn't charged by an elephant.
Yeah, I got charged instead.
You know, and so it's like I didn't have the angry cow pissed off and come running down the hill, flapping her ears and blowing her trunk. But you know, that's the thing, is over there, everything and anything can happen. And the cool thing about it is you're probably with one of the best group out there.
Mm-hmm. Like I've never, every outfitter, guide, whatever, they always have like one client that, you know, you hear about that they're not happy with right. Rhino Land. And talking to both of you, like as often as I do, you know, Felicia, you and I, we talk every day, damn near every day. Adam, you and I, we talk quite a bit.
Right.
and I've talked to several other people, that kind of go to Rhino Land and stuff, and it's like there's not a client that goes over there that doesn't have a decent time, and if they don't, it's under their own
doing. Absolutely.
You cannot go to a place like that with people like that and not have a great time. Like
Yeah.
even a sour apple is gonna have a great time over there. They might be upset about, the animals or something like that because their expectations were different. That's still not paying tribute to the fact that they had a good time. Like it's impossible to go over there and have a bad time with people like that.
Right.
They're
And that's-
family. They
Oh,
become-
100%. And that's why like every year now, I help them out when they come to like the Salt Lake show and they come to the West to do expos, and like when they come down to Midland, Texas and stuff like that, I'll help them set up their booth and be in the booth with them, because those guys can try to sell hunts all day long, but it does help when you actually have someone that's in the booth that's been there a handful of times and knows the area, not as well as they do, but knows the area really well and knows the animals really well. And you can show them videos, you can show them pictures, you can show them everything that you've gotten with these guys and stay like, look, like this is the success that you can have coming over here.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, even if there's an animal on your list and you don't get it, you're not paying for that animal. Obviously, now if you wound it, that's a different story. Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for it.
Mhm.
But if there's an animal on your list and you don't get the opportunity to shoot it, you're not gonna pay for that animal.
Right.
And even if you get the opportunity to shoot it and you miss, you don't hit it, you don't wound it, you're not paying for that animal.
Yeah, there's no blood, you don't pay.
And there's other places that have talked to that they say you get 100% opportunity, but not always the time to kill. And I was like, okay, well then if you get the opportunity, are you still charged on it? And most places that I've talked to in South Africa, if you, like you say, if you don't draw blood, you don't pay for it.
Yeah. But what you were saying with the shows and everything, I would encourage anyone that is questioning going to Africa to go.
Yeah.
Then go to some of these house parties. I think it's imperative to have a client, like you said, from the States there, because you're getting a little bit more personable with it. But I think when you have them in the booth, you get to talk to them, you get to realize the people you're going over with and the camaraderie you're gonna have with them. It's going to be unmatched. And I think that's why they reel back in every time, why clients like myself, why, Adam and others, they go back over and over, is because they know that they're going with the best possible people. You're going to be safe. You're going to have beautiful lodging. You're going to be taken care of like kings. It's a resort. Like you're staying in a resort. You're not camping in Africa. You're eating like kings. They cater to your, allergies or just wants and necessities. I know, Adam, you asked for a case of Coke in your fridge and it's there.
Yeah. It was like, it's unmatched. And on top of that, just to prove a point where, you talk about being safe, there's not one doubt, even though I was hunting my lion and hunting my hippo, some of the most dangerous game in Africa, there's not one time. And the awesome thing about it too is I had his name's Ruben. I had a guy from Southern Cross Productions filming my hunts. Well, he's a PH as well. So it was also super nice when, there's one point when we were trying to go after this hippo. The hippo was doing something underwater and Marcel said, bluff charge. And he stood up in front of me and Ruben grabbed me and pulled me to the side. And I was like, what is going on? I pulled my gun up, to help back up Marcel. But it's like, that we were all kind of sitting there. He had his gun kind of laying on the ground and he saw something move in the water and he instantly went into, I call it PH mode, and took a step in front of me and was like blocking me from this 5-ton animal that I'm like, this thing's coming out of the water. Like, and then in my mind, I'm like, well, because me and Marcel have become very, very good friends and like brothers, I went shoulder to shoulder with him, and I was like, okay, we see this thing, we're shooting it, right? He goes, yes. I'm like, okay, we're in now. But it just happened so fast and such a split instinct that it was like, that this is someone who understands the mannerisms and the what, like the lifestyle of what these animals can change in a light switch.
And I think that PH school that outfitters over there do is very much that training of those situations, that it becomes just second nature to know to step up to that plate.
Yep.
But yeah, what is the most like incredible experience as far as like that type of interaction that you've ever had over there?
I would have to say when that elephant charged us, the first time, we were in the Land Cruiser, and Marcel went to turn around, and he didn't do it on purpose. And the Land Cruiser just died.
Oh shit!
And the only time, I wouldn't say he was scared or like, but you could tell like it was like his instinct took place. Like I thought he was either going to get out of the truck and try to shoot it, but his first words was, "Adam, get ready. If she comes any closer, shoot her." Like words out of his mouth. And I was like, I turned around in the Land Cruiser and laid my gun over the back of the truck, and I was like, okay. And I mean, this all happened within like tenths of a second. But when that Land Cruiser died, because even Jeep or Petrus was in the passenger seat. Even Petrus grabbed Marcel's 375 and stood up on the hood of the truck.
Yeah.
Because he knew just in this little moment, like, shit's about to get real. Like, this thing was not stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was probably one of my most scared moments, because I've never really been super scared being with these guys. But when that happened, it was kind of like, whoa, like, hey, like, I'm tapping on the front passenger seat, like, we gotta go. Like, get this thing started. And then probably the second most like rewarding time would be when
she charged you.
What's that?
How close was she when she charged you?
She was at like probably 60 yards, but she probably came in at about 15 or 20.
Oh
Okay.
no. Felicia,
Like,
what about your elephant charge?
I could smell her easy.
Well, Adam was saying that he didn't get charged this year, and we took that hit for you. She was
She's angry.
So we were watching the matriarch off to our right, and she had the whole family with her. Well, we thought she had the whole family, and we're counting, and we're counting all the babies and the bulls and the other females, and we're just taking pictures of them. And all of a sudden, I'm maybe 30 yards. She breaks through the trees behind us and charges the back of the truck. And she got so close, like literally she was, feet from the back of the truck. And we went to go, and she like charged forward, and my hat went flying, and she stepped right on my hat. And
oh man,
my hat went off the truck. She stepped on it, and we were pursuing Gemsbuck in the, like, that's what we were going to do when we stopped to take pictures of the family of elephants. But even them, we were taking photos of them at 35, 40 yards before we pissed her off enough to come charge the truck. And same situation, the truck like didn't want to go, and like the truck always goes. It's like that Jurassic Park moment when one thing, like, you need it to go and it like stalls out on you. And it was just super cool. And like, I don't know, 2 hours later, Natalie pulls up in her Land Cruiser pickup, and she handed me back my hat. I thought it was gone for good, right? Like, Marcel, hope it's hers now. And she handed me my hat back, and it's all like the bill's all crushed and there's full of sand. And I asked her, I said, how the hell did you find this? She goes, well, I was driving and I saw something in the road, so I stopped. And she goes, and I saw elephant tracks and all like stamped, that like the prints all over the road and like kind of configured kind of odd. And she goes, oh, I know what happened here.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for getting the hat back.
And she lets it be known. Like, her ears go full out. as wide as they can go, and her trunk comes up in the air and down and blows her trunk like 3 or 4 times, and it's everything that little elephant can go, like
Yeah.
12 tons of like pissed off vinegar.
I'll have to get the video because I know Aiden and Cass were videoing the family of elephants when she charged us, and it is like a split second. We were watching the right and she charged out from the left and
Yep, that's
on the back of that truck in like a tenth of a second.
yeah. Oh yeah, they're
And
so fast, so fast.
Felicia, talking about the photography stuff, you talk about, hunting these animals, but how much enjoyment do you also get out of, because you have a photography company and you took some really great photos of animals and like things that were going on this year at Rhino Land. How important is that for you to be able to bring back those types of photos, not just for yourself, but also for your Women of the Wild?
We're in that conversation. It's imperative. You have to do it because I think that it starts the conversation of conservation of what these animals are. The elephant we were just talking about, she's not the matriarch, she's just the crazy female elephant. And but she charged us and I didn't even have the camera zoomed and I couldn't even get her full head in the photo because she was that close. And like having that conversation of like, okay, here was the matriarch, this is what a matriarch is. And I got some stellar photos of a beautiful bull kudu. A lot of people don't even know what that is. So you have having the, like, I would go over there with just the camera without an issue. You have to pull the trigger. I love watching other people hunt, but I have to have my camera on me every time we go out. I have to, like, it is always with me. And if I'm not taking the photos and I'm doing something with that client, Michael will take the camera and like him and I will go back and forth with it because there's so much to see, so much to experience, and you get those unique interactions. I wish they did good at night because we had some cool interactions with a hippo, almost ran us off the road and aardvarks and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just neat. Or like that low light, we saw 4 leopards one evening last year. And I wish I'd have got photos of them because they were just beautiful up on the top, up by Pride Rock. Adam, you'll know where that's at. So one of the mountains that sisters with Pride Rock, the 4 leopards, it was a mom and her 3 cubs were just hanging out at the top. And
That's unreal.
you don't even with the camera attached to you, you don't get to capture everything because it's a split second, but you have like, you don't have to. I feel that I have to take those photos because it's a conversation and
exactly. It's a building conversation for you because not only for like you having Women of the Wild and everything, it's a piece that you can say, look, this is some of the stuff you'll see.
Mhm.
And so it's a selling point. Not I look at it as a selling point not only for Women of the Wild, but for your photography, for Rhino Land, for all aspects that you're tied into, because that's what you're doing, and you're trying to put out there like, look, we want to try to bring more people here. Here's some of my photos. Here's some of the videos that have been taken over on their property. This is some of the stuff that you can see while you're over there. So it's a huge opportunity for you. And not only that, but you can never take, even in my aspect, like that's why I'm not good at pictures and I always forget to take a camera and everything. And I have my iPhone, which does okay. But that's why I hire a cameraman every time because I want to get that. I want to get that action shots. I want to get, the drone footage of them going over ponds and seeing crocodiles and hippos and flying over top of the herd of elephants and things like that. That's why I always try to bring a cameraman with me, because I know I miss a lot of opportunities of taking pictures.
Absolutely. Even with it attached to my hand, I miss a lot of opportunity because it happens so fast.
Hey guys, Austin here. So glad you guys are listening and enjoying this episode. We're going to cut this episode here, and we will continue back up with Felicia and Adam next week for the third part of their African trips. So thanks for listening, and we hope to see you next week.